If I could have your attention just for a brief moment. We're here to dedicate a portion of the highway to Ernie Johns, one of the staples of Rutherford County, staples of Smyrna, Rutherford County historian, and we had an opportunity to visit with him yesterday, and boy, it would be wonderful if we could download his brain on a flash drive. That man is remarkable. Some people create history, some people make history, some people record history. Ernie has done it all, every bit of it. I'm going to introduce you to Jenny. She's a staple of Smyrna. She goes back, her roots go back deep here. She's, I don't know how many of you, I will look at the age of you, and most of you know who her daddy was. Awesome guy. I'm going to turn it over to her.
Well, I'm just here today to welcome you to Gillsville and to the ceremony. When Mike Sparks first talked about it, I was so excited that we were going to honor Ernie Johns in this way. He's a neighbor, a friend, and their customers. They've worked at the grocery store. Keith worked at the grocery store, and he has done so much to preserve the history in Smyrna and Rutherford County, and I'm just very happy to see everybody here today. And welcome to the ceremony.
And we're in the midst of greatness. We got some wonderful historians here today. I hope everybody takes a moment to introduce yourself to them. We got two sitting right over here. We got Frank right over there. We got a lot of good people today. So who's our next speaker coming up here? Somebody needs to get up here quick. Greg, you gonna talk? Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. I was trying to get over there. Back in the 1970s, when we were anticipating the American bicentennial, that the state legislature decided that there should be a county historian in every county. And one of the first projects was a series of books of county histories. A fellow that a lot of you probably heard of, Homer Pittard, was our first county historian, and he helped organize with Ernie Johns the Historic Society, the Rutherford County Historic Society. Ernie is our only surviving original founding member of the Historic Society, so it makes him very important to us. But Ernie's kind of set the style and the pattern of what a historian should do. He started stomping around out in the woods, finding all those gravestones and helping us relocate the cemeteries and remember the people who've gone before, those who made us what we are. He started going through all the old original records in the county archives, which at the time, some of them were down below the street. You had to go through a manhole to get to them. He started going through and digesting and condensing that. And some of his work that he did, a lot of it was Susan Daniel, who's our county genealogist right here. And I wanted to be sure and be close to these because we sell these. And if you want to do some research and find out a little bit about the county, these are all available from the Historic Society. They're also in our libraries, so you have free access. They're available over at the archive. I use them all the time. I say I write stories that I guess are readable. I've been told that my books are some of the best bathroom side reading that you can find. Lots of little short stories. Ernie put together things that remind me of telephone books. You don't just sit down and read all the way through them, but if you need some particular information, these books are marvelous. And that's the type of work that Ernie started, and that now Ernie, of course, is still our county historian emeritus on his honors, which means he's dumped all the work on me, and I'm delighted to do it. And we're going to continue to try to do the type thing he was doing, and that is dig out the history, put it together in a condition where it can be easily accessible, and then try to get people interested in it so they can share the passion and understand what we went through to be where we are today. And I want to recognize the little lady sitting on the bag here. She's picking up a little bit of Ernie's style and doing a lot of writing, Susan. I appreciate what you do. And I'm glad you've relieved me over at the Daily News Journal, too. I have all of them I could take. All right, when it comes to Smyrna history, I always went to Ernie first, but the backup was Toby. And Toby, I hope you'll keep your senses about you because we're going to need you here. Here you go.
James, you'll hold that.
What am I holding?
Well, this is just, he told me that, is it supposed to be?
I got it, Greg. I got you, buddy. All right, go
Everything's
ahead.
okay?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, everything's okay. I talked to several people before I came, and I said, are you speaking today? And then I tried to analyze, now, what would they say? Now, what's that going to leave for me? So what's, what I brought these books along. This book right here that Greg made. This is about the cemetery book, and he mentioned using it. The thing I wanted to show was all the notes and papers sticking out at the top there. I've used that thing like 10,000 times. I mean, I use it all the time. I grew up in this area here like Ernie did. In fact, I lived down on the river down there, down Sharp Springs Road. And so back when I was born down there, and my father came to get a doctor, but while he was gone, I was born, and luckily my 17-year-old aunt was there, and this cord was wrapped around my neck, and she saved me. And so recently she passed away, and so I wore this tag on my shirt here to tell the family. I said, thanks to Aunt Eileen, I'm here today, and I explained to them how that happened. Well, we used to ride the buggy out, and the store over there that Mr. J.D. Hale ran. We would ride the buggy. It was about 2.5, 3 miles, and hold both of these.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll hold this one. Okay, well, this location that we are here, standing here, is a very prominent location, and this was kind of the crossroads that there was I was talking to Mike just a few minutes ago. Back here behind me, when you go on the Sam Ridley Parkway, there's a bridge over there over Stewart's Creek. And that and Pat's relative fought at that bridge. He helped guard that bridge. So there was a battle of the Stewart's Creek Bridge just behind us, like you go out there, and in front of me here, back behind you there, was what was called the Battle of Espy Chapel. And when you came out Sharp Springs Road, and when it joined this road here, this is Jefferson Pike here, of course, and they call it the Old Georgia Road. And these two road signs out here. These two historical markers, I walked over there a few minutes ago and reread those. And some very interesting things happened right in this area here. And a lot of stories came out of that. And
I got it.
So we were on one of the hikes to Old Jefferson back some time ago. I started doing, after I retired from teaching, I took a hike to Old Jefferson. Back in those days, they said that Old Jefferson was flooded by the lake. Well, I said, well, I've had enough of this. I finally got a break. So I walked over to Old Jefferson one day from the East Fork Recreation area, and then I started doing walking tours on October 25th, 2003. And that was the 200th anniversary of the founding of the town of Old Jefferson, and also the founding of this county. And so this county was made from the counties that were already existing here, which is Davidson and Wilson, and also Williamson County. And as I read through various things, I just sort of jotted down a few things about Ernie's family. As I said, I was trying to look for some things just so I could have. And starting with Ernie's family, it says here that he was married to Mary Lou McIntosh, and I believe she's sitting right there. And that's when he was in service. He graduated from high school in '56, and I graduated 52, and I graduated in '56. So it's quite a bit of difference there. But I remember on occasion, sometimes that when Ernie was making the trip, when he was leaving here, and he was going to Maine, I believe it was. He was after he graduated from college. He was actually commissioned, and he was driving to New York, and Billy Victor and myself rode in his car, and he dropped us off at the University of Tennessee. And on the way up there, we came to this place going over the mountain. That's back when the old road was there. Someone had run off the side of a cliff there, and Billy and myself went down to the bottom. Ernie stayed up the top. We went down to the bottom, and the car was wrecked, and there was a suicide note that was left in the car, and there was a man running through the woods. He had typed something out of the car, and he was running away. And then that was. I really didn't know Ernie all that much, but since then, because I've been involved, Ernie was one of the first 4-year presidents of the Historical Society here in Rutherford County. He was one of the 4 years. And in this blue book that I have gives a complete, starting back in 60, he mentioned 69, then 71, and then Ernie's name is mentioned on the very first year as the vice president, and the next year he became president. And then the last president, the last 4-year president of the Historical, that was me. That's me. And so I joined good company when I became, after I got through teaching, then I got involved in various kinds of things. So these books here, this particular book here has got Ernie's name on it with Susan Daniels. One is a deed book, the estate of the land grants from North Carolina first, North Carolina, and the other one over here, this is after Tennessee was given the right to start handing out the land grants. Tennessee, so this one is Ernie King Johns, and also Susan Daniels, author of that. Now, as far as this book is concerned, Ernie's name is not mentioned in this cemetery book, but I know for certain he did a lot of work along with. I counted up all the names that are mentioned. I think I got up to around 180 people who are given credit for searching around the county and putting together all the information that actually went into this cemetery book, which covers generally the boundary and some over in some joining counties, and they're still working on the same project today. The thing that I'd like to ask you to do, come join us. Come join us. It has been a very interesting time for me. I find something to do all the time as far as history is concerned, and I just kind of went through just very briefly. Now, I'll just give just a little quick sketch. Now, you may not like history at all. Someone said, I don't like that part of history, but Ernie's family came from Wilson County that preceded us. And my family did too. My family came a little later, and starting from Ernie himself, his brothers and sisters are Frank, and he had a younger brother named William Bluford, and then there's the one called Johnny, which is John Matthews. Thomas Nelson, that's Tommy. He's got a collection of things dealing with the railroad, and there's also Martha Susan, and also Mary Lou, and I appreciate those people very much. Ernie served on the county commission for 2 terms. He was also a member of many historical societies in this area. Many societies, and I remember on one occasion, Ernie would go after he retired from being in the construction building houses. He did a lot of traveling to other counties. He'd go to flea markets and things like that. He would bring back treasures. Maybe there would be a book that he would buy in Winchester or Tullahoma somewhere down there, and he'd bring it back, and it actually should be over in Wilson County, over at Lebanon. So he'd say, Toby, would you go with me over at Lebanon? So we'd go over to Lebanon to deliver those documents to Wilson County, and that's the kind of person that Ernie was. He did a lot of things. Now, in this one book that tells about the history, this blue book right here, tells about the history of the Rutherford County Historical Society. Ernie's name is mentioned many times. There's a time that I guess I should stop. And I'm going to stop right now and say thank you, Ernie King. This is Ernie King Johns. Now, a prominent name with the Ernie. He was related, like on his mother's side, a king. I'll just give you a little trivia question. He was a king. On his mother's side, they were King family. Here's a trivia question. What president was a king before he became president? Now, I don't know if Ernie was related to that king. I do know his brother was killed in a car wreck over on Highway 40 close to Lebanon back years ago. So the question is, you say, now I'm just making this up. Okay. What president of the United States was a king before he became president of the United States? Thank you for letting me speak. Thank you.
Let's give a big round of applause. That was beautiful, beautiful commentary. Like I said, we're in the midst of greatness today with historians and everything. Mikey, you got something else you want to say?
Yeah, well, don't ask that, Marty. Yeah. You know, yesterday we went over and seen Ernie, and many of y'all know he fell and broke his hip last week, so we wanted to kind of recognize we got him on video. But I want to recognize some folks that's here: Councilman Paul Johns, former Mayor Johns, Vice Mayor Mark Atkins, Councilman Lori North, Tina Jones with Congressman Desjardins' office. Tina used to serve with Ernie. Got a lot of family and relatives here: Keith Johns, Greg, Mary Lou. Appreciate y'all being here. Commissioner Joe Gurley, appreciate you being here. When I was first going to run for county commission, I want to share this story. I had asked my friend Sally Walls, Major Walls' wife. I said, "What about that Mr. Johns guy? What do you think about him?" And she said, "Well, he ain't no one's yes man." He said he's his own man. No one could ever buy that guy. So I picked up the phone, I called him up, and I said, "Let's meet over here at Hardee's. I want to talk to you." So we've been friends ever since, and he's really been kind of an encourager for me. But you know what I had watched when I was a first got elected? It seemed like we recognized everybody after they passed away. And I thought, that just seemed something, kind of some strange irony. We wait till people die before we tell them how much we appreciate them. So my logic has always been, let's recognize them while they're alive, you know, and thank them while they're alive. And one thing that I'm seeing that's important to me, I know it's important to really pretty much probably everybody here, I'm seeing a lot of things going on nationally where people are trying to rewrite history. You know, it's a big concern for me. They're trying to censor some of our values, you know, and I believe in the First Amendment. I may, like Voltaire said, he said, I may disagree with what you have to say, but I'll give my life to defend it. You know, whether you want to fly the state flag in front of your house or farm, or the Confederate flag, or the flag of New Zealand, or like my mom, you know, being from Scotland, that ought to be your right. You know, I have a concern where I'm thinking things are going, and I think everyone here should have a concern. But Ernie, I know they wheeled him in the wheelchair yesterday. He looked kind of down, and he started to perk up, didn't he, Marty?
He did. He came alive.
He came alive, and Herb Batson back there could see it. Senator Bill Kitchen couldn't be here with us. Y'all know he's battling cancer, and he wanted to be here, and he's had some health setbacks, and he wasn't feeling up to par. But something I found out yesterday from his wife, Mary Lou, I didn't know he had graduated UT. I didn't realize he was a UT graduate, you know. I think a lot of things have already been covered about him. I do have a little bit of a bio, but I think everybody almost covered it, pretty much everything. Is there, you know, maybe I should mention a few other things. He's on the county commission. He was in the Air Force. And see, I didn't know that, you know. But one thing that he told me the other day that I thought was important yesterday was the importance of this King John's home. And if we're not careful, many of y'all seen what happened over here. Patty, I know you've seen that. Over here on Amaville Road, where they just tore down the old Mr. Sharp's home. It's okay. Tore it down. And, you know, and that's sadly going to happen. You know, and economics sadly dictates a lot of that, and I can't blame the developer. Sometimes you can save these things, sometimes you can't, but I think most people have a passion here. I know some folks are going to have to go, but what we want to do is kind of kill 2 or 3 birds with one stone, and also kind of honor Ernie's wishes about saving the home and what we can do. I know Bill Kitchens and I both had a grant this year. We weren't able to get the grant. We were able to get $9,300 for Sam Davis' home. I know Bill's got some things in the works. He thinks we may not be able to buy the home, but we may be able to help facilitate the sale and help with refurbishing, that sort of thing. So we're going to hang out and have some other discussion about some of the, whether it's the Jefferson community or the Kings John home, the Trail of Tears. I know I got Pat that's going to speak, and some others that's going to speak about the importance. And really what I want to do here in the next 10 minutes is, I know some folks would like to say something about Ernie, and I wish he could be here. You know, I was telling Mary Lou, and I don't mean to be so direct sometimes, but you never know what the next week or 2 or month or 6 months is going to hold. I may not be here tomorrow, you never know. And hopefully, Ernie looked really good yesterday. You know, after we got talking, I think Lord willing, I think he'll be home next week or 2. But what I want to do is open this up, and I don't want to put anybody on the spot. I'd like Mark Atkins, the Vice Mayor, if he'd say a word or two, and then open it up to some other folks that may want to say a word. Is that okay? Maybe Tina, and so y'all come on up and say a word or two. Thanks.
I'll hold this one. You hold that one.
Thank you all. It's a great day here today, just to be able to take time out of our busy Saturdays and come over here and say something on behalf of Ernie and Mary Lou and the family. Ernie's actually a neighbor of mine. I don't live too far over there from where Ernie lives, and so I often go by and think of him, see him out cutting wood or working on the fire. He's always doing something. He's a busy guy. But I just want to give my best wishes to Ernie today. I know that you guys are sending a message to him by video. And Ernie, God bless you, and just let you know that you're in our thoughts and our prayers, and we wish you all the best in your recovery. Hurry up and come home. I know your family would like to have that, and we would too. So our prayers are with you, Ernie, and God bless you.
Thank you, Mark. Who else would like to say a word? Come on, Paul. Here comes Paul Johns. Yeah.
I'm bashful, but I'll try to say something. When Ernie was out checking on the graveyards one afternoon late, he was riding around and he run out of gas. And he went up to this farmer's door and said, could you give me some gas? That I just run out of gas, and said, I need to get home. This farmer said, no, everything is closed, and said, we'll have to wait till in the morning to get you some gas, but I tell you what you can do. You can spend the night with me, and you can sleep with my 6-year-old son, and then we'll get up in the morning and go get you some gas. So he did, and they was laying in bed getting ready to go to sleep, and the little boy gets up and gets down on the end of the bed, and Ernie said, now isn't that nice? Said he's going to say his prayers, and said I'm going to get down on the other side of the bed and say my prayers, and let that little boy tell his mom and dad in the morning what a great guy I was to spend the night with him that night. So he gets down on the other end of the bed, and the little boy looks up at him and says, sir, said, if you're doing the same thing I'm doing, said, Mama's going to be mad. Said, the pot's on this side of the bed. Back when Ernie and myself come up, a pot was important to you, I promise you. I guarantee you it was. But Ernie was my first cousin. We go way back. We've had a lot of good times together with him and his wife. And we've had a lot of good times together. And we're going to have some more good times together. And thank you for being here today. And this is an honor for Ernie, I promise you. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Anybody else like to? Yeah, come on up here, Lori. This is Lori North.
Well, I know they're videoing this for Ernie, and just wanted him to know that you are in our thoughts and prayers and in your recovery. Miss Imogene Boland, a very dear mutual friend of ours, introduced us several years ago, and just to let you know, hope your recovery goes well, and this is a great honor for you and for the town of Smyrna to be able to do this with the help of Representative Mike Sparks and Senator Bill Ketron. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. Anybody else like to say a word?
Thank you.
Hey, yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Representative Mike Sparks, for making this happen. Appreciate it very much. It's entirely appropriate to honor such a long-standing leader and advocate for Smyrna and Rutherford County. I first met Ernie in 1993 when I was elected to the Rutherford County Commission. Ernie's leadership and his knowledge and guidance was invaluable. If he told you something, it was better than gold. And he's the kind of man you want to be in the foxhole with if times are tough. So, Ernie, I thank you so much for being my friend over the years. I love you and look forward to your recovery. God bless you, and God bless you, Mary Lou. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a word I hadn't heard in a long time. Foxhole. How many of you know what a foxhole is? Yeah. Okay. Does anybody else like to say a word? Mike, you got somebody? Mike. Yeah. Come on up. Do you want to say anything? Do you want to say anything? Ms. Johnson, would you like to make a closing statement? Let me do. Hang on, let me just come over here. Okay.
So anyway, Ernie and I have been married over 57 years, and he isn't perfect, and I'm not perfect, but we made it. And he is a great guy, and he's been a good husband, so I couldn't ask for anything more.
Thank you, ma'am. This has been a great occasion here. Would you like to say?
She does. Yes, she does.
No, I just wanted to say that his service to the Sam Davis home, Sam Davis Memorial Association, has been very much appreciated. He's been very valuable. Served as a trustee for many years at Sam Davis home. So.
Okay, well, I guess this was going to pretty much wrap it up unless somebody's got something they want to say. This has been an auspicious occasion dedicated to a wonderful man who's done so much, as we've all heard today, to benefit the community, to benefit the people around him. We're very fortunate to have had him part of our lives. And unless something else needs to be said, we're going to shut it down right now. Thank you.
Harper. H-A-R-B-E-R, Susan, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's me.
I've got son Keith Johns, and I've got Greg Johns, and Mary Lou, the wife, 57.5 years, and Susan.
He's my cousin.
Harbor, cousin of Ernie Johns, with us here, and your work on the it's a historical society, correct? And your day newsroom work is greatly appreciated. Frank was bragging on her. So thank y'all for letting y'all. It's an honor for me. Some of the kids, you sounded good.